I want to talk about stretching of the skin and what exactly it means to me to stretch the skin. It took me a while to understand this concept. When I first started, I thought stretching the skin was consisting of me doing a whole bunch of this and a whole bunch of this and a whole bunch of this and, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I thought that's what stretching the skin was, getting vigorous stretches on the skin to where you can see it and getting a real tight stretch on the skin. I thought that's what it meant to stretch the skin. Although it technically does mean stretching the skin, that is true. That's not the way that we should look at it, especially in the early days of tattooing. The term stretching of the skin can be a little bit misleading, especially in the early days. There's going to be certain areas where stretching is just not required because that area is already tight. In these areas where the skin is already stretched, in the areas where we can't stretch anymore, what do we do? That's what this video is about. By the end of this video, you will know how I go about stretching the skin and you will hear my logic, thought process, and approach when it comes to stretching skin. Should you have any questions, drop a comment below. I'll do my best to assist in the best possible direction. If you find this video helpful, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you. As I started getting more experience with tattooing, I learned that it's not really all about just stretching. When I first started, I used to do a lot of this, and I used to really put vigorous amounts of force into stretching the skin, so that way it gave me a really tight spot to tattoo, and that was the information that misled me in a negative direction. So I'm not saying that we don't have to stretch the skin, because we definitely do. However, that term stretching can be a little bit misleading. For example, let's say if I'm going to be tattooing in this area right here, you see how the skin is like loose and it's not really stable. Instead of me stretching like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on holding the skin in place. This is another form of stretching the skin. When we hear stretching, we think that we only have to do this, when that is not the case. Another variable of stretching would be simply holding the skin in place, because we are applying a little bit of pressure, kind of taking the skin down, pulling it down a little bit. There is a stretch going on. When I first started, this is something that I never even considered. It's just simply holding down the skin in the areas that I'm going to be tattooing instead of doing all of this. So for example, if I hold the skin down right here and I identify my point A and B, even though the skin's super loose in this area, I should still be able to deposit the ink in a clean, solid, consistent manner, capturing the needle weight as well as a full, clean, saturated line. This is a 7-round shader, so I'm capturing all 7 hits at once. I'm hitting the right depth. I feel the skin breaking open, and you can see I don't have a pull on the skin, I have a hold on it, which is giving me a healthy stretch. I'm not overcompensating, I'm not trying too hard, nor am I pulling the skin too hard, causing more pain for the client. I am simply holding it down. This rule of thumb is great when we find ourselves facing areas that are really hard to get a good stretch on. When we have those areas, it's probably because we're not supposed to be doing this in that area. I'm not saying that we can't, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is if you're struggling to find a comfortable stretch in a certain area, there has to be a better way to approach it. So by doing that, you can see, I'm just gonna simply hold it down. I'm not doing any stretching, I'm just simply pressing pressure down, so that way the skin doesn't flap around on me. This right here to me is definitely another form of stretching. So I'm placing pressure down. You can see that when I do that, the skin kind of stretches on its own without any vigorous stretching. When I do that, you can see that I'm pressing down, stretching the skin out, and I'm able to get a clean, consistent deposit. Just like that. I'm going to dab away. There we go. It's important to remember that holding of the skin and stretching essentially do the same thing. You're going to get to the same place. However, the action upon doing them is going to be different, and the application on when you need to use them is going to vary. Sometimes you're going to need to apply a 3-point stretch like so. Sometimes you're going to need to press down. That's going to vary depending on the placement, skin type. You get the idea. But that is the goal behind it. When you are stretching the skin, don't focus so much on getting a hard pull and a solid pull. Focus more on keeping the skin from doing this when you were tattooing. So for example, let's say if I didn't do any stretch or holds, let's see this area right here. And you're going to see as I get to the area where the skin's a bit more looser, it becomes more unstable. I can't feel the right depth right now either. I don't know if I'm at the right depth. You can see that the skin's flapping around, And when we put ourselves in positions to tattoo like this, we're not going to yield quality results. This is actually really difficult to tattoo successfully. And you can see the skin's just bouncing around there. Although that line didn't come out totally beat up, it's not by any means perfect. You can see all the fluctuations right here of when the skin's flapping into the needle. That right there is one of the main reasons why we're going to need some sort of hold and stretch on the skin. We have to keep it in place. That's the only way to deposit the ink in a clean, solid, consistent, saturated manner. You can try all live long day to not have a hold or a stretch on your skin. However, you're going to experience bounces, and I assure you these bounces are going to cause adversities that nobody would want. So you kind of see that skin's bouncing, and it's really hard to pinpoint my needle depth if I'm accurate or not. I do not know. So all of these adversities come from simply not having a good hold on the skin. We have to be able to feel the resistance and the feedback. You can see that my lines look a little bit more janky because I have no stability on the skin. If I simply press the skin down, I'm going to use a finger to kind of prove my point here. If I press the skin down and I go from here, see, so now I can feel my depth more. I can feel the skin breaking open. There we go. Same thing right here. And it's going to be in a really awkward position. So if I get this, then we're definitely on the right track. See, so now what I'm noticing is different is I can actually feel my needle depth resistance. My angle is off, because this is an awkward area to tattoo. So I had to go back over it, but you can see that I was able to hit a depth a lot more correctly than over here on this side. Although that line's not by any means perfect, I'm still able to find more consistency with a simple hold on the skin versus not holding it. And that's the importance. There's no way that we're gonna apply any sort of clean, solid, consistent, saturated work if we don't have this fundamental down. We have to know how to stretch the skin and or hold it when it's necessary. Just a quick recap, when it comes to stretching of the skin, holding of the skin, we got two options. We can do a 3-point stretch like this, or we could simply hold the skin in place where we are tattooing. That right there has worked pretty well for me, and I do hope that you could take that information and immediately apply it to your tattooing workflow. I'm hoping that that would work well for you. Now, that would be it to conclude this video. That's all that I have for you today. However, should you have any questions at all, I encourage you to please drop a comment down below. I'm going to do my absolute best to assist you in the best possible direction. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing to my channel, as I will be bringing more videos like this for you all. With that being said, I appreciate you, your time, and your support. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a great day.